My name is Caitlin. I am a fashion reseller on the Depop and Poshmark apps. My Depop is at Traveling Circus VTG. My Poshmark is at KDB, and my Instagram is at Traveling Circus VTG. Those will be in the comments because they got all mixed up and now they don't make sense. So, I lost my lip balm. Where did my lip balm go? So, this is just like a get ready with me type video, and I'm going to go ahead and talk about the things that maybe I wish somebody would have told me, or I wish were talked about more in other sorts of like tips and tricks type videos. So, keep in mind whenever I'm talking about these things that I am mostly focused on vintage resale. So, and depending on what you sell, definitely affects, you know, the things that are important in that. So, in vintage, things like keywords, things like keywords are very important, whereas maybe if you had like a Dolce & Gabbana bag, you wouldn't necessarily need so many keywords, and you could spend your time doing something else other than thinking of a long ass description for something that's a very popular item. So that is one of my very first tips, is if you're selling vintage, you need to focus on keywords. When I'm talking about keywords, I mean like the types of collars, the types of sleeves, the fabric, the colors, the pattern, what kind of pattern it is. Is it a novelty pattern? Do you know what a novelty pattern is? Because if you don't, I'll tell you right now. And even if you do, I'll still tell you. So a novelty pattern is kind of like a cutesy type of pattern, you don't say, where it's kind of like, it's not like a floral, maybe it's got like little animals on it, maybe it's got like an Art Nouveau, like women's faces look going on to it, like one of my very favorite scarves. So those are novelty prints, novelty patterns, things like bats, things like oranges and apples and things like that. So make sure that you've got plenty of words in your vocabulary. If you're short on keywords, if you don't really know what words are for certain things, and I mean, like, that's totally normal for whenever you're starting out. It's very normal to have a limited vocabulary on fashion terms. The best thing to do is to either watch people's hauls where they describe their items. They're like, you know, it has this type of neckline, it's got this type of detailing, and take notes on those sorts of things, like mental notes, obviously, or you could write them down. And then you can also like Google things such as sleeve types, and then, you know, like go on Google Images and, oh, what are these? These are these types of sleeves. That's the name for that sleeve. So yeah, being very detailed in your description, making sure, for the love of God, make sure that you've got plenty of frickin' pictures, because nobody wants to buy a $40 sweater that's only got like 2 pictures of like front and back. It doesn't have any sort of modeling involved. It doesn't have a close-up on the fabric, so you can't tell like what the texture is. It doesn't tell you, it doesn't have a picture of the tag, so you don't know if it's actually vintage or not, or if it's just some kid that called something vintage because they knew that people buy vintage stuff. Plenty of pictures, all of the pictures. You can never have too many pictures. Especially if it's an item that you want a lot of money for, you need to build that confidence for your buyer. And you want your buyer to believe that you truly have the item that you say you have, and that you're going to send them that. Because like buying online can be a gamble, you know, like you never know if somebody's on some other stuff trying to ruin your day by sending you some sort of illegitimate item. I don't know. So, lighting. Please, for the love of God, get some good lighting. I cannot stand, especially when it's like something really cheap and it looks like it's really cute. I can't stand when I can't really get a good feel for what I'm actually looking at. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just kind of like slapping colors on my face. So please don't think that I know what I'm doing. So how does one research what is selling on Poshmark? Because like, you don't want to go in cold. I'm telling you that right now. Get a good idea of the things that people are buying, why they're buying those things, what makes those things valuable, such as, you know, maybe it's the fabric, maybe it's just the brand, maybe it's the quality that the brand truly represents. And just keep an eye out for things that match up with that. So like maybe somebody's yellow silk blouse sold for $30 and you have a gold silk blouse. Maybe you could also sell it for $30. So just keep an eye out for the things that other people are picking up, I guess, is like the easiest thing to do. One of my favorite things to do is like, especially when I'm just kind of like not feeling up to anything, I like to watch fashion documentaries. Fashion is like the biggest part of reselling, or at least for like reselling vintage for me. If you have a good idea of what's in style right now, you really cannot go wrong. And understanding the history of those things can be really helpful, especially when it comes to vintage, because you will be able to tell them, you know, maybe this, you know, like this brand is like an anti-fashion brand or something like that, which is a niche fashion sort of cult that is like very geometric. And there's a really cool documentary on YouTube about it called like the anti-fashion movement or something. And I never would have known about people like Comme des Garçons or Yohji Yamamoto or Balmain or you know, lots of like amazing brands that do really incredible stuff, if it weren't for the fact that like I had to educate myself, because nobody knows everything about fashion. And like, there's nothing wrong with admitting maybe you could do some studying up on certain subjects. The thing about reselling is that it's completely self-motivated. So find the things that you enjoy learning about in terms of fashion and in terms of sustainability, in terms of vintage style, what women actually wore during these times, you know, stuff like that. Find your passion within style, I guess, would be like my biggest, most important tip I could give you, is to find certain styles that like make you excited to like put it online. So I really love like granny sweaters and stuff like that, and I love posting my granny sweaters because I'm proud of them. So when you are proud of the things that you're putting out there, it's a lot easier to put them out there and to make other people want them because you like them. You know, like, you're not going to listen to somebody if you go to a restaurant and you ask your waiter like, what's your favorite thing on the menu, and it's a steakhouse but they're actually a vegan and they just don't relate to any of these things, then that's not gonna be the kind of person that I want to take advice from, you know what I mean? So another thing that I just really love about vintage style is being able to style it in modern ways. And I feel like that's a really important part of being a vintage reseller, is showing people outfits, and it doesn't have to be a great outfit. It really doesn't. If you want to wear some dark skinny jeans and like a cute belt with this top that you're selling, that's all you have to do. As long as they have an idea of how they could style it, I feel like that makes a huge difference in sales. And most of the time, I really just, when I bring in new stuff, I just kind of like match things up with other things that are already on the rack. And that way I don't have to like pull a lot of like other items out or anything like that. Like obviously I have my trusty mom jeans that I wear with like basically everything, but if I don't want to wear those, then I'll just pull something from whatever is also soon to be sold, and that'll also cut down on the time that you're investing in this. And the thing is, like, especially brand new, you're not gonna see immediate return. You're not gonna go straight to making $1,000 a month with 50 items in your shop. I really like to consider, or think about it like fishing, right? So every time you cast out, which is every one of my listings is like a cast out, and then eventually a fish will bite. So the more you cast, the more fish you're gonna catch. And that applies to your shop. The more options you have, the more information you have available to them is going to be how you make those sales. And I'm here to tell you right now, like, I shop based on my measurements, and you would be amazed at how many people, and I didn't do it at first either. I didn't bother with measurements whenever I first started. I didn't think that it was going to be really important, but I soon found that the size on the tag may not match the current size, especially with vintage clothing. So like a size 10 vintage or size 12 vintage could be like my size. So making those measurements available, making sure that you are representing your item as honestly and as clearly as humanly possible. And like, it's really easy to just take those measurements while you're, while they're like hung up. So I hang it up on the wall, and then I just like take my measurements. I have like a little fold out table that sits right here. So I take my measurements and then I just turn around and write them down instead of having to like go into my stock wherever it is and then finding out what those measurements are later. And if somebody's going to ask you for a measurement, they're definitely not going to buy it unless you provide said measurement. Because why would they? Because they don't know if it's going to fit them. I'd have to say that my my most important suggestion for new resellers is just go. Just take your pictures, post them on the internet, write you a good description, and you will eventually sell it. Everything sells eventually. Why do I look so blown out today? Oh my god. This is terrible. Just terrible. I had to return my other, I'd like bought this foundation in like 10 whole shades too light for me. And so I traded it in for this one. And like after I get all my like my bronzer and like the rest of my stuff on, it pretty much evens out. But right now I'm looking a little ghostly. But that's okay, because we'll get there. Ghostly bitch. She's a ghostly bitch. She's a ghost. It is spoopy season, so I guess it's okay to be a ghost right now, right? Sure, maybe. Another thing. Let's talk about prices. So, when it comes to pricing your items, what I like to do is go and do what's called looking up comps. So you can go basically anywhere. You can just Google whatever you have and go to like the shopping tab, see what people are asking for it, go to Poshmark or eBay and see what those things have sold for. You can filter by sold items on both Poshmark and eBay. So those are pretty solid resources. More often than not, people do not get what they're asking for these, you know, whatever they're selling. Maybe the customer wants like $2 off or like $3 off or something like that. I don't really expect to get my full listing price, and because of that, I actually list a little bit higher, maybe like $5 or $10 more depending on the item. And you know, that way whenever I do get an offer for like $5 or $10 less, I can be like, oh, well, you know, to be perfectly honest. But don't tell them that. Don't tell them that you didn't expect to get what you were asking, because then they'll be like, what? And then you'll have to be like, what? So I would like to take a moment now to tell you lovely people a story about what happened to me the other day. What was it, yesterday? Day before that, something like that. So I had mailed this girl these shoes. She had ordered them and paid for them. And she said before she bought them that she was concerned about them not fitting. And the good thing is that as a business owner, I can decide whether or not to accept returns. And when somebody's honest with, you know, when they tell me, you know, hey, you might want to just be aware that I don't know if these are going to fit. If somebody's going to tell me that, then I have the opportunity to tell them that they can return them if they like. Or maybe if you don't accept returns, if you don't want to accept returns yet, that's fine too. It's your business. You do what you like. And so this girl got the shoes and she said they don't fit. I was like, okay. So all you have to do is ship them back and send me the tracking number and I will refund you the $20 for the shoes. And I don't know how old this girl was, but I don't think she knows how returns work. Because you have to return the item, and she was, for whatever reason, under the impression that she was just going to get her money back but also get to keep the shoes, which apparently didn't fit her. So she goes, oh, well, I didn't know I was going to have to send them back. And I wanted to say something so bad, but she hadn't given me a review yet. So I thought better of it. So I just told her that she could resell them and use my pictures if she wanted to, which she did not respond to. But yeah, I thought that was interesting. I love reseller horror stories because some people are just like on some other shit. I saw something on, what was it, the Poshmark Reddit or like Behind the Closet Door Reddit. Those are reseller Reddit pages. If you are a reseller and you are on Reddit, you should go join them. And so this lady, I guess, had like commented, and it was like barely even English. It was like really terrible grammar. So this lady had commented on somebody's item, wanting it for like 90% off because it was her birthday. And it was like, and the lady whose item it was, she posted it to the subreddit, which, I mean, her username was blocked out. That's like, you can't just like put somebody's username on there like that, but you can tell us all what they said. So I always love a good Karen story. They crack me up. They make me feel better about myself. Like, at least I'm not that much of a selfish asshole that I would think that somebody would give me a 90% discount in their business because it was my birthday. Like, I wish it was that entitled. I wish I lived in that world. Actually, no, I don't think I do, because I think I'd be really disappointed really often. But, yeah. So, some funny little reseller stories for you. Oh, and there was this, oh my god. So I went to this estate sale the other day, and there was this woman, and she was like, you know how short people, their vocal cords are like squished so they don't sound like I do, you know, like they have like kind of like a smaller, like a higher pitched voice. And this woman, I guess she was like from Jersey or something, because she had like a really strong Jersey accent, but she was also very small. And so she had like this childlike Jersey accent, which was a trip in and of itself. And then, you know, all the estate sales are requiring that people wear masks because there's, you know, an epidemic. And this woman is just going off in one of the rooms at the estate sale, and she was talking about that like COVID isn't real, and I shit you not, like it was like the whole spiel of like, it's not real, China created it to ruin the American economy and bring in the New World Order. And this woman was like 60 years old. I was like, how have you lived this long? But you know, there are some characters out there, and we love a character, especially the ones that make us feel better about ourselves. I'm like so miserably off. I need to, and like I have this, not really gigantic, but this like stage light right here that like really blows me out. It's not even a stage light. It's like a bar light that I got from Walmart for like $9, and I have like another one. And those were the ones that I actually started with for, you know, my like lighting solutions, because I didn't want to like rely on natural sunlight. You can, but I'm not schedule oriented enough, surprisingly, as a Capricorn, to be able to have certain times where I photograph. So I just bought these 2 giant lights, and they're amazing, and they cost like nothing. And yeah, definitely one of my best investments was those dang lights. I've seen other setups that like would be nice for me to have, but I feel like why would I buy other ones when this one's just as good? So, and when I take pictures, I like have every light on in the room. I have like several lamps. I've got some lamps next to my little area that I take pictures in. I've got some behind it. Like, I've got hella light, because bad lighting is like just, it's a pet peeve of mine when it comes to reselling, because it's like your most important aspect of your listings is going to be your pictures, because like it's clothing, you know what I mean? Like, that's the most important part, because it's to look a certain way, you know? Oh, I love this blush. It's so cute and pink. So one of my other like reseller type friends that I've met from on here on YouTube and Instagram and stuff, she has gone full time, and I am so proud of her. If you like the kinds of things that I pick up, go check out at neutral.nirvana on Instagram. She has really beautiful stuff, and she just went full time. So if you want to support somebody who could use a little boost, that's the person. There she is. Go spend your money with her, or me. You can also spend your money on me. Or not on me, on my items that I am selling for a decent price. I'll give you a discount. So I do also want to talk about, like, there's there's no right way to do this, really. There's no right way to be a reseller, or, you know, there's no perfect like algorithm or formula for this. Like, you just kind of have to figure it out as you go, and that's okay. You know, like, if you're investing a small amount, which is absolutely what I suggested in the beginning, do not invest a lot of money right away in stock maybe you don't know as much about just yet. So like, whenever I first started, I took like 85 bucks to an estate sale, and this estate sale was nuts. Like, the whole upstairs of this giant mansion was this woman's clothes from the 80s, and it was simply fantastic. I bought about $80 worth of stuff from there, and you know, I put it up and I saw what sold for me, and then I went and invested maybe like 50 or 60 more dollars a couple weeks later and put that stuff up and saw which things were selling and what items weren't. And I watched tons and tons and tons of what sold videos, which is where sellers will tell you what sold and how much they sold for generally. Sometimes they'll tell you their cost of goods as well, but so yeah, don't invest all your money in it right away. See what direction you want to head in, what your style is. And you don't know your style yet. You really don't. Like, nobody knows their style yet. And being a reseller, like, you get so many opportunities to try so many different styles. Take advantage of that. Try something new. Try something kind of weird. I never would have known how beautiful grandma sweaters were until I started reselling, and I was like, oh my god, these are amazing. There's this damn woodpecker. He lives right there. He lives right on the opposite side of my wall, which is like it's like my wall and then like dense vegetation, forest type stuff. And there's a fucking woodpecker that has decided that he wants to eat my wall, and he's been at it for like 3 or 4 days now. It's fine, it's fine, it's fine. I'm pretending like it bothers me probably more than it actually does. It is slightly irritating though. Cause like, couldn't you go somewhere else? You're a woodpecker, go peck some actual wood. I don't think that's actually wood out there. It's gotta be a woodpecker, right? Like, that's the only pecker of wood. It's not like I've got some sort of maybe it's a beaver? I don't know. We've investigated. I sent my boyfriend out to go investigate, and apparently we don't know for sure, but my assumption is woodpecker. Oh, I flew too close to the sun. My hands are like hella shaky right now. You know, I've got eyeliner all over that brush. It's fine, whatever. This happens to me every time. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna have a cute little wing. Bitch, nah. We here ready to take some souls with these bitches. Ah. Do I look okay? Maybe, I don't know. Whatever. Well, that was my wisdom. I hope it sounded really wise. And I hope that you enjoyed my weird little reseller horror stories. They happen all the time. And it's just because sometimes you have to go out in public and deal with the public, even when you do work from home. So, if you enjoyed my story, if you enjoyed my tips and tricks, leave me a like and comment and all that stuff. take a lap, ring the bell, all that stuff. So yeah, thanks for coming.